everybody. I'm Stacey J.
And I'm Chuck Duran.
Welcome to a totally awesome episode of VO Buzz Weekly.
That's right. And we have on the show Kristine Oller, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. And she is going to share information that's going to help you get so organized that you're going to have your best year ever.
She is a change strategist. Is that the coolest title ever?
Change strategist.
Totally. But before we go there, I just have to say something.
What's up?
Okay. This necklace was given to me
quite beautiful,
just spontaneously by the lovely and talented Martha Kahn, who you know her as part of the team of Voiceover Virtual with John Florian, talented voice actor. Anyway, she gave this to me, and so sweet, and it doesn't make noise to my microphone.
Nope, and it is gorgeous, I have to say.
Yes, thank you. And then this bracelet was given to me by Melissa Greenspan, a super talented voice actor, dear friend, and I just had to highlight that because I'm feeling...
People just give you things all the time. Why don't people give me things?
They do, Chuck.
They do. Like these mugs. Check this out. Man, it took us 2 years to find the right mug that we've always wanted. Purple, full logo on it, and full color. It looks so beautiful. Drinks taste so delicious. You guys might be able to win some of these, by the way.
Maybe.
And speaking of winning, we are going to have a giveaway during these next 2 episodes with Kristine Oller. So stay tuned and get all the information in it during the episodes because we want you to win.
Cheers.
Let's go to Kristine now.
You guys, it is a new year and it is resolution time. And who better to help you make them all come true than our guest? For more than 15 years, she has been helping transform people's lives as a change strategist, author, speaker, and award-winning professional personal organizer. She is amazing. We have so much to talk about, and if you're ready to go to the next level, then you're ready to get buzzed with the fabulous Kristine Oller.
Yeah, baby.
Oh, well, thank you
How
very
are
much.
you?
I'm really great.
We are so excited about having you.
Thank you so much for being here. Happy belated New Year.
Thank you. I'm happy to be in the zebra chair.
Right?
Well, that is a cool
famous.
zebra chair.
It is.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
No zebra was harmed in the making of that chair as an advocate, I have to say. So zebra.
Well, anyway, Kristine, we're so excited about having you on the show today because, you know, Stacey did a lot of research on you. And she was telling me about all this stuff that you do and all the people that you have worked with, some of which have been on VO Buzz Weekly. So she works with some pretty high caliber pros out there who are probably where they're at because of you. But we're so excited. And Stacey was telling me all the things that you do. And I'm like, oh man, this is going to be so great. Breaking out the new year.
Yeah,
you know, with having you help everybody get their thoughts right and their thinking right so that they can take this year and make it their best year ever.
There's nothing I like to do more than that.
That is
honestly.
awesome.
I know. And I love, you're so clearly passionate about what you do, which we love. And I know everyone's going to just feel that coming from you. So let's dive right in and let's just talk about, okay, now you were a professional actor for 10 years in LA.
Yeah.
So can you take us from how you went from there to where you are now?
Sure.
Give us the whole...
I was actually born in LA, so I'm a native.
Wow.
Beautiful.
And I came out of the womb going, actor. So that's what I did. But my parents were like, you can do whatever you want after you finish college.
Right.
So I went to Oregon for school because I wanted to experience weather. That was my main criteria. And so I came back to Los Angeles to live with my parents because that's what everybody does after college.
Right.
And I started acting. And I did that for 10 years. And I had success. I worked in equity theater, SAG, AFTRA, did a bunch of commercials. However, my career suffered from the good girl syndrome, where I'll just be very quiet and professional, and they will notice my great work. And I'm an introvert by nature, and so networking was super hard. And I was like, oh, I'm going to have to figure out how to do this if I'm going to have a career. And so I learned slowly and painfully how to do things like that. And I was managing a theater, and I read this article one day. It was just one page in a magazine about this guy who was a professional organizer. Now, this is before Google. So you can't... Yeah, I'm dating myself. But you couldn't just run home and like, oh, the world is doing this. So I just knew one guy was doing this. And I saw the words professional organizer, and I was like, well, that's for me. Because I'd been doing that my whole life. Forcing it on my younger sister, you know, let's clean your room. No. That was always a fun way to spend a Saturday.
Let's alphabetize the crayons.
Absolutely. So I just made up business cards the very next day, and I just started telling people, this is what I do. And I got clients, and I'd been doing it at every workplace that I'd been in. And I fell in love with it. And first of all, it was a really good way to support my acting At first, it was just like, this is a great way to make money. I have a flexible schedule. I'm working way more per hour than I was managing the theater. So that was great. The thing about it is that I was acting in a time before YouTube, before Google, really. We had pagers.
I remember pagers.
Yeah, I do too. And so you couldn't really do anything beyond theater to really like run as fast as you can. And I was, getting into the end of my 20s, and I wanted to build something. And as I talk about in my book, when you have two big things you're trying to grow, I was trying to grow an acting career and an organizing career. And when I focused on one, the other lagged, and then I focused on that, and the other lagged, and it was like, oh, and so right at the end of my 30s, I'm like, I think I want to do this organizing thing. I think I want to see what would happen if I focused my full attention on it. Because I knew I could grow either one, but I knew that the opportunity in organizing was so much bigger because you could wake up in the morning and work as much as you want, as fast as you want, and just go. And that's not something you can do as an actor, especially back then. So it took me 18 months to kind of make the decision, and that's really hard because I'd so self-identified as an actor, and to tell people.
Did you feel like you were giving up? Like, did you feel like, oh, I'm giving up on
I
acting?
wasn't. I knew I wasn't, but I thought everybody else would think so. Because who decides to go from acting to moving pencils around?
Yeah.
Like, how is that more exciting?
Right.
No, I knew no one would believe me.
Yeah.
So it took me 18 months. I went to my agents, and I was like, I'm just going to take an 8-month hiatus. So don't send me out, and I'll come back in 8 months. I'm just going to sort of see what happens, if I do this. And I didn't know if I'd miss acting. I thought, oh, what if I turn on the TV and I'm like, oh my God, that was for me. Didn't miss it at all. The last week I was like, oh, I can tell someone I'll be somewhere at 4 p.m. and I can actually be somewhere at 4. It was amazing.
Yes.
And the business just exploded, and I never looked back. I always thought if I ever felt the itch, I'd go back. But I get to do stuff like this and be interviewed, and I get.
But don't you
I
find that your
itch.
performance background, and you did voiceover as well, like, don't you find that that really aids you in everything you do? Because you're a public speaker. I mean, you have that confidence.
Absolutely.
And that ability to assume a different role and mirror your clients depending on what they have going on. And so it's all effective tools.
Right. And here's the thing about voiceover, and this is an instructive thing for people. I wanted to know if I could do it. I'd always been interested in it, but I always thought you had to have a magical voice. Nancy Wolfson showed up at the Actors Network one day to do a little seminar thing, and one of the first things she said is, you don't have to have a special voice. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm in then. I'm in, sign me up. And so I studied with her privately every other week for a whole year.
Yeah. Wow.
Enjoyed it, cut the demo, great demo, and then I was like, okay, I think I'm just going to keep my focus on camera. That's with my love.
Yeah.
But I had to scratch that itch. But once I knew, oh yeah, I could totally compete in this, then I didn't need to actually do it. And I had taken an audiobook class with Pat Fraley, and that's, where I met him. And it's funny because at first it would seem like, well, that's a huge investment to then not pursue it. And then you take this audiobook class, but you don't do anything with it. Because I also wanted to know, could I do that?
Yeah,
I could. And so, but years later, I recorded my own book as an audiobook, and now I know about the voiceover world because I actually learned all about it for a year just to do anything with it. But it has paid off because through just circumstances, I happen to have a lot of clients in the voiceover world. That's just how it happened. Yeah.
Well, and how was it that because you said that, you were introverted, right? And kind of a shy person. What do you think, how did you get out of that? How did you break that shell?
Well, I learned all about networking once I started doing it as an organizer, because the hardest thing to do is sell yourself in your 20s when you don't even know who you are, really. But as I started working full-time as an organizer, I was like, oh, I see. If I just applied this stuff to the acting thing, I would have had a much different experience. I didn't go back and do it because I was past that at that point. But I started helping my other actor friends of like, do this.
Yeah.
And I taught a 5-week workshop, which I actually recorded, and people can buy if they want, about networking. Because it was so hard for me, and these lessons were so painful that I distilled down all the things that I learned the hard way so people could just learn it the fast, easy way. Just because simply I didn't want someone to go through what I went through. And a lot of networking stuff is written by extroverts.
True.
go out and say hi to everybody. I'm like,
True. Yeah, it's
to
like,
everybody? A room full of people I don't know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I consider myself very organized.
She is.
I do alphabetize my spices. I do. But what kinds of things did you do? I have to geek out for a second. What kind of things did you do as a personal organizer? Like, what kinds of things would your clients want you to do?
Well, here's the interesting thing, is I'm not like that. My spices are not organized. I'm not like a Virgo.
I told you had a problem.
Well, that's true.
I'm not psychotic. No. But I'm not like that at all. And actually, 90% of my clients over the 15 years who came to me actually didn't have an organizational problem. They thought they did, but they contacted me because their spaces weren't feeling right anymore. It felt like they were working against them. And what it really was is that they had transitioned as a person and their space
Didn't grow with them.
So most of what I'm doing for them is shifting their space, not only to meet them where they're at, but I like to shift it a little ahead to serve them where they're going. And so then they can be fully supported in this space that just has what they need and they know where it is.
Now,
and they
what do you
have
mean
what
by
they want.
space?
Their physical environment.
Okay.
So I would do rooms, or I would do whole entire houses, which was always so great. To have a space where every single part of it supports and connects to every, it's amazing.
Well, and it speaks to, don't you think, the balance of your life? I mean, if your space is in chaos, if you can't find your stuff, if you don't have a system in place, how is your life going to mirror that?
Your physical environment is a direct reflection of what's going on in here.
Oh, say that again, Kristine. That's a nugget, man. Nugget number one.
Nugget number one.
Your physical environment is a direct reflection of what's going on in here.
So true.
So I can really tell. I've been in beautiful homes where you just walked in, you're like, oh, wow, there's unhappiness and unease and conflict, and it just was represented, And I'm an excellent organizer because I know it's not about moving stuff. It's really about shifting the environment to come in alignment with the person.
Yeah.
And I just have always been very good at figuring out. That's what I loved about acting, was my favorite part of it was figuring out the character.
Right.
So I didn't miss that because that's what I was doing as an organizer, was figuring out my clients.
And you're having such beautiful real life results. I mean, that must have been obviously your clients benefit, but I mean, what did you get out of that? What did that feel like for you to know that you really locked somebody in on a great track?
The fact that you can change a person's life, or even a significant part of a life, I don't know if there's anything better than that.
Yeah.
And the thing about, voiceover act, anybody who's using their gifts in the world and making the world a better place and enlightening someone or sending a message or inspiring someone, that's it, man. That's it.
Absolutely.
And we all do it in different ways, and one isn't better than the other because we all need what each other do. And one of the things that I love about people is that we're only partial. We all need what other people have.
Yep.
We need that.
Yeah.
And I just adore that about the human race.
That's so cool. Yeah.
So then how did you go from personal organizer to change strategist, which is such a great, hopeful, inspiring, dreaming title. I love that. I love that.
Thank you.
I love it.
I love it too. And I went from career strategist, and then I decided change strategist because it just became more encompassing of what I was able to do for people. This is a strange story. My whole life has been very it has moved forward organically. These haven't been and now I will do this. It's all just kind of presented itself to me. So back in the day when I was organizing, if we had locked eyes across the room, you would go on my newsletter list. So Pat Fraley, who I'd taken a class with, on my newsletter list. And he called me up one day and was like, what he was describing is he wanted to kind of streamline the administrative part of his teaching business because he was just like, I'm spending too much time doing this stuff and I want someone else to do it, and can you come talk about it? It's like, okay. I came to his house and we sat outside on his table, and he started telling me about what he wanted. Because it's not just when someone comes to me with like, I want you to fix this. That's very in the details of things.
Yeah.
But I like to get the big picture of like, well, how does this relate to the whole? And because that informs how we're going to go about fixing this. So I sort of was like, well, tell me what your big vision is and why you want to fix this part. So we started to talk about this. And as he was talking, talked for like an hour or so. And as he was talking, I was, all these thoughts started poking in my head about how he could actually redesign his teaching business, like the whole thing, because he wanted, like everyone, to work less and earn more.
Right.
He doesn't.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
What a concept.
That's a strategy.
And so these ideas started coming to my head, but I was sitting there thinking, and Pat doesn't even know this story, but I was sitting there thinking like, you know, but that's not what he asked me to come over here and do. And I don't like to overstep boundaries with clients, you know, because it's not, they didn't hire me to do that. But I knew Pat, and so literally I was like, I'm just going to take a risk. And so I said, okay, Pat, I'm going to tell you some things. I just want you to listen to me. And if none of it resonates, we'll just forget about it. Well, I'll totally tell you how to streamline this.
Right.
I was like, okay. So I think you should do this and this and this and this, and this is how you should brand yourself. And you need to do this because it's more invitational and blah, 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 blah. And he was like, okay, how do we do occurred? And I was like,
Step one.
What?
Step one.
And it was
That's
literally the first time it ever occurred to me even that someone would pay me for just the guidance, just the ideas of things.
Right, right.
And not, I don't have to move any boxes to
Yeah.
earn my money.
Right,
and I'm
right.
like, if anybody's going to pay me for my words, that is way better. I got to get into that versus that, you know, because,
Yeah.
you know, you get old, you can't be like 45 moving boxes around. So Pat was like, okay, so how do we do this? Write up a contract. And I was like, yeah, I'll go home and crunch the numbers and see. I went home, I'm like, how do you do this? How do you quote something like this? I've never, you know, I called a few people. I was like, and it was the scariest summer of my life because Pat did everything I said. And I was like, what if this doesn't work? What's the backup plan?
Exactly, right.
But on two levels. I mean, what if it doesn't work and then Pat Fraley, this amazing person, I let him down. But also, if this doesn't work, then my instincts are wrong. And if I can't trust that, whoa, I don't know where that puts me.
Yeah, then you wouldn't be
Right,
on VO Buzz
right.
Weekly right now. Think about that.
Exactly. Know the consequences.
We do not have posers on the show, Kristine.
Yeah.
So it worked. And he has quoted that in a year, we tripled his teaching income.
Wow.
From our work together. So, but I didn't hang out my shingle as career strategist. I just sort of was like, oh, all right, let's just see if I can do this again. Let's just see.
Yeah.
And I would say to a few people, and of course Pat started referring and had me talk at his events, so I got clients. And once, I did that the same thing with organizing. It wasn't like I told the world I was a professional organizer. I wanted to make sure I could do it before the shingle came out.
Absolutely.
And I could like charge money.
Yeah.
Bigger money, I mean.
Yeah, of course.
You know, so it was very organic, and that's how it
And you
started.
followed your
to happen.
instincts, which I love.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, I believe in taking that risk. So that was working out pretty well. And what I realized is there was this gap in the industry, and especially with performers, you know, because every performer, and I've been there, I wanted the same thing. I want a manager.
Right.
I just want someone to tell me what to do with my career, you know, and we think agents, that's not their job at all.
Right.
So we're like, okay, a manager. But not all managers are strategists.
True.
Not
Well, most managers aren't strategists.
I would say that's true. I say you're lucky if you get a manager who is a strategist.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
You know,
True.
really looking at how you could do it. So there was this gap that my skill set was able to really fill. And that's why, I mean, there was a real need for this kind of, okay, let's look at your time, energy, and money and your circumstances right now and see how you can use these resources in your specific circumstances to build upon what you're doing and move forward faster. That is what I'm able to do, and there's a need for that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's really cool. And it says here, this is really cool. You describe yourself as someone who guides people as opposed to leading them, which I think is so cool. But can you share your approach and how you actually go about working with a client? Like, let's say, you know, I come to you and I tell you something. What I mean, because obviously you must have a way of doing things. So what can somebody expect, you know, working with you?
Let me speak to one thing you said at the very beginning about me being a guide, because that truly is what I am. Because my job, I feel, is to teach you how to lead you. Because everybody I work with, most people are creative professionals. Usually, if they're not creative professionals, they're independent professionals.
Right.
And they're in transition. Either, like Pat, they want to grow a subset of what they're already doing, or some people want to shift to an entirely new career, or they want to take the career they have to the next level. Those are usually the shifts.
Right.
But everybody's in transition. And so when someone comes to me, the typical issues is like, I got 100 irons in the fire. I have no time, you know, my time is spread. I feel pulled in a million directions. I have big dreams and goals, and I feel like the window of opportunity is closing. How do I slip in that window fast now, you know, with what I have? And over time, this has evolved, but this is how I work now. I need 2 3-hour sessions with someone. This is a deep dive.
Wow.
I get a lot of people who are like, can I just talk to you for an hour? I'm like, an hour
Yeah.
is, I can give you nothing that you desire in an hour. It will be over like that. So the first session that we sit down for is really about me figuring out the big picture of you. And what I'm really looking for is the mindset part of it. And are you in alignment? Because very often, you know, we're sitting here in our moments of frustration at the universe. Just give me what I want. You know, can't you see I'm working so hard? Just give me what I want.
I'm entitled to have it.
Please. And I think the universe is up there going, okay, we want to give you, but we are confused because what you say you want is different than how you're thinking. And it's different than how you're feeling about it and then what you're doing. So those 4 things have to be in alignment. And sometimes to get them in alignment, it takes untying some knots. And some of those knots I can help people with. Some of the knots I can just identify and say, you need to go see someone because they're deep and they're old, but they gotta be worked on.
My nails aren't long enough to dig those
You need a massage on your brain.
So the first session, we make a big dream statement, because I often find that people, especially performers, they talk in very vague terms. Oh, I'm a voiceover artist. That tells me nothing.
Right.
Even if you say, I'm an animation voiceover artist. What do you do? Video games? What kind of video games? What genre? You know, where are you? Are you the villain? Are you the... I want to know the specifics so I can file you away in my brain.
Right.
And when we start to talk in specifics about what do you really want, it's amazing how unique that is.
Yeah.
And when you realize that your dream of not just career-wise, but how that fits into the whole life is so unique, where's the competition? Nobody wants what you want.
Right.
Some people are like, I want to be, you know, have houses in 3 parts of the world. And other people are like, I just want to live in LA and have a nest.
Yeah.
They don't want, you know. So we make a big dream statement so we know where we're going. And then after that session, I have enough information. And our next session, we sit down and make a plan of action. And the thing about planning is we cannot sit across the table from each other and figure out how you're going to make that big dream.
Right.
And why? That would be a waste of time, because we can only think small. And the universe, I'm a little woo, just a little bit. But the universe, you know,
come to
can
the right
make,
place where we're too.
can have better ways to have it all turn out. That's great. We just want to get you going in the right direction to signal to the universe, see, look, oh, I'm in alignment and I want to go that way. And it's great.
Yeah, the time has come.
But making the plan is just part of it. And that's why, so those 2 sessions plus a phone call, that's a jump start. And that's basically the plan and kind of working on some knots. However, what I really love to do is have people go through my Your Leap Year program, because that gives us enough time for the to hit the fan. And that's when I get excited. Because we can sit here and make grand plans all day, but that's not what makes me good at what I do, is the plans. It's the adjustments to the plans. Making a great strategic plan is 1/2, but you have to be able to know how to make adjustments to the plan. And that's what I teach my clients. How do we make adjustments? Because if they can see when the going gets rough, that they can actually still make progress through
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
then they know, okay, I can make progress through anything. So a year allows them to learn this. You can't just tell it. They have to experience it and have me there going, okay. Because they'll come to me and call me with an issue. But it's like, okay, first thing we have to do, big picture perspective. So how does this relate to this? And how are we going to solve this in a way that is keeping us on track? Or do we need to completely have another track? Like I have a client.
So you're also a babysitter.
And a therapist.
And a therapist.
No, those are knots that she doesn't untie.
And a manager who's better than any other manager.
She outsources those knots.
Oh,
Remember?
okay,
Yes.
okay.
Very wise woman.
Yes, like I have a client who is working with me for a year, and some of her big things, like, okay, I'm going to start my YouTube channel, I want to have a baby, I want to buy a house, blah, 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 and we're like, okay. So we start out, we make this like 5-month, I only really plan like a good 3 months, 6 months a little bit, you know, in advance. Going along, she literally bought a house in a week. She found the house, they made the offer, it got approved, but and she's like, okay, we just bought a house. So that thing we thought was going to happen like next year is now. And we had to, and what she was freaking out is because she was just trying to go along with the same plan that we had made. And I'm like, no, that is moot.
Yeah.
New plan.
Yeah.
So we had to have a new
Whole other year now.
Seriously,
to think about.
because you just had, you accomplished this big goal. So now she has all those house meetings and moving in the middle of the holidays. It's like, but it was a learning moment for her to be like, yeah, you don't just keep plowing through with the same plan, which is what people do a lot.
They do, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, no, we've got to adjust and let something else has to move to the back burner because this thing just moved to the front.
Yep.
You only have 2 burners in the front. You know, it's not like this huge 18 burner stuff.
Right.
Yeah, so it's that kind of stuff that I love. I love it when that happens.
Yeah,
It's like,
well,
okay.
and that's so important
Yeah,
because I mean I
so
heard it
good.
said if you want things to change, you have to change some things. So sometimes you might be, you know, right on schedule to, you know, hit a certain goal, and then something happens, and a lot of people just keep going that direction, and they're not getting any results.
Very often, they want to get organized and they want to make a plan because they want to fit more into their life. But then I surprise them because it's really about making space. That is such a critical component of executing your plans. You have to make space for what you want to come in. And so it's really about stripping away. Because the reason New Year's resolutions usually don't work, well, there's mindset reasons why they don't work, but also just logistical, is people have their life and they kind of pour this New Year's resolution over, hoping it'll just kind of drip through the cracks and get done somehow. It's like, oh no, you got to make space for that to fit in.
See, that's what, at
Absolutely.
times in my life when I've had a really small bank account, I would always go, oh, look, there's just more room in my bank account for more money to come in.
Hey, that's a little nugget right
Instead
there.
of going like,
Make
oh,
room
I
in
have
your
no
bank
money, it's
account.
like, oh, look, now I have plenty of room.
That's great.
But you know what?
I'm half full. That's my.
I love
always
it.
half
I'm
full.
totally half full. It's full too. Half off my rocker, as my husband would say, but
Yeah.
also half full.
Yeah.
But the significant thing about that, it's one thought makes you feel better than the other thought. It's all we're all spinning stories. Life is all, you know, projected perspective, and spin stories that make you feel better because that motivates you to actually get up and do your stuff.
Yes.
Because it's literally a choice, and one is no more true than the other.
Absolutely.
You know?
100%.
So I love that you did that.
Yeah, me too. Keep making more money in that bank account. So I think now would be a really good time to talk about this giveaway that we're doing because I think it's pretty darn exciting.
It is.
So what are we giving away and how do they get it?
Okay. Well, I thought I would give away a copy of my audiobook. Seems appropriate for the venue.
Absolutely.
Very captive audience.
Yes, so it's my audiobook called Feeding Your Focus, How Creative People Can Move Forward Faster and Achieve Sustained Success. And it sells for $97. It's 8 hours of my best guidance about the foundation, which is focus and strategy, home office efficiency, financial organization, and networking. Those are the legs of your table on which to build your career. And you don't want to build your career on shaky ground.
No,
Yeah.
ma'am.
So this is a great way to start the year.
Wow,
too.
absolutely.
Yes.
So to get this,
To get
right,
this.
to get this, I want you to email me, and it's my name, Kristine at KristineOller.com.
Right there on the bottom, you can
Right there
see
on the bottom, and send me the golden nugget that you got that made watching this segment worthwhile. That was worth the price of admission. Just send me your golden nugget, let me know it resonated, and I'm going to put everybody in a drawing, and I will videotape the random drawing, so it'll be legit. And I will.
You are authentic, Kristine.
Yes. So the winner
I would
will
want
be
that.
picked.
I know. So it's going to be random, and you get. But the good news is because you have 2 parts.
Oh yes.
You can enter twice, you guys. So you can send 2 different golden nuggets and be entered twice to get.
Absolutely.
It's an amazing, amazing resource.
That's really cool. I'm glad we're doing that. We're
Love
kicking
it.
the year
Thank
off
you
good.
for doing that.
Yes, thank you very much.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Wow, this episode was full of nuggets, if I have to say so myself.
Incredible.
Don't forget, okay, write down the nugget that you got from this episode and send it to Kristine, and you will be entered on a little drawing that you can win her whole CD package.
Yes.
And I would love to win that. I might even
know.
enter it. Oh wait, I can't.
No, Chuck, that's tacky. You can't.
Damn. Join us next week for part 2 with Kristine. It's gonna be awesome.
Absolutely, and keep up with us on Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest, you guys, at VO Buzz Weekly. Take care until we see you next time, and just remember, you always have time for a little buzz.